Good afternoon, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Tuesday afternoon, November 2nd. We are looking at Window Traders market profile of SPY, IWM, and triple Qs. A lot to talk about. Amazing day. So right off the bat, all five of the major indices, the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Russell, the Dow, and the transports hit all-time highs on the same day. Now, I don't know when the last time that happened. So if somebody out there that listens to my videos knows, I'd love for you to hit me up and tell me, because I'm really curious when or if that's ever happened. I'm sure it has. We have our high in regular trading hours, as does Qs. Now, Russell came out of an 8-month balance to the upside to make an all-time high, did not get its overnight all-time high from back on March 15th, still missed it by about 60 cents, and closed just below their previous all-time high. So again, those balance rules are huge for them. Right now, they just stretch the top of a balance, and it's an 8-month balance. So at some point, they want to get through it and above it and don't look back. Otherwise, you know what happens to the other end of a balance. But the fact that they didn't get their overnight all-time high leads me to believe I think they might still have some upside left. But it will be interesting to see if they get legs and acceptance, keyword acceptance, above this 8-month balance. Triple Qs go out with an afternoon pullback in K. They end 12 wide. Russell, afternoon pullback in I. They end 11 wide. They both had perfect POCs through 11 time frames, but obviously didn't get them. For us, we have an afternoon pullback in F. We end 11 wide. And again, new highs, wide POCs, 11 wide today, 9 wide yesterday. We've been talking about this. The market rushes to an all-time high and then this trade sideways all day. So just like when we made lows, remember we had the huge gap down and we ended up 13 wide. And I was like, I think that might be long-term buyers in there. Well, could this be the opposite? Could this be long-term sellers just without any influence at all in the market, selling out, as keeping it at a level as we get 9, 10, 11 wide, and they're just, right, they're not showing their hand, they're just selling it nice and easy, so nobody knows they're there. That's a possibility. Also a P shape for us today for short covering, although for the life of me, I don't know who's short. Had a good day today. Didn't get the big play I wanted. We'll go over that in a minute, but my first trade of the day was in B period. I took a long to get the overnight high. Let's put it this way. I scalped longs in B and C, the 460s, about 5 times. So started off very nicely. I didn't do anything in A, but I scalped longs about 5 times in B and C. Did well. Then in C later, I took a small short. Actually took a loss on it. There was no tempo, but it started climbing back up, took it off for a small short. I tried it again in D. This time it worked. These are the 463 puts. And it worked in D, and then I tried it again in E. I took it off for a small loss when it popped, but then it would have been the right play because it came all the way back. Now, I was looking for a nice size long to get in either F or in J. Now, F is below half back right now because I'm in threes and value, but at the time, we had not gotten to value low, we had not gotten to half back, and I was looking for a large call play at those levels. I did take a couple of call plays in J, but not the size I wanted against value low. Those were the 460s. I did that twice. And then in K period, when K couldn't, I was waiting for K to take out J or F's low to take another size call play. Never happened. When it went back up, it looked like it was going back to G's low, to back to the POC. So I grabbed the 50 call play of the 461s and rode them up a little bit above J's high. So it was a good day, but nothing huge as far as size or anything like that. But a very consistent day, and the day was very accommodating and readable. And when algos act that way, it makes a very good trade. And it bounced off VWAP about 7-8 times today. So now I don't usually use VWAP. One of the traders in the room does, and he was mentioning that. Well, a bunch of them do. I was looking more at value low and half back, which we never really got to where I wanted to take the play. As far as destinations, once again, there's only one and only one to the upside. That's 462.22. Now, I know they're showing 462.23 on Schwab and a couple of other places. But on Window Trader, where I have the exact volume trading every penny, we never traded at 23 cents. So I'm using 462.22 as the high. For our downside, 11 wide, 461.57 at G's low. 461.22 F, afternoon pullback low. Today's low, 460.08. 9 wide from yesterday, 459.39 and 458.20 daily low. Now, before we get to the charts, I just want to talk about a couple of things because I mentioned this in the room. I don't think tomorrow morning should be that busy, although I have seen trend days prior to the Fed announcement and press conference. But more importantly, there's a vacuum in this market. There's nothing to the upside, right? Absolutely nothing. And even to the downside, other than this POC, and this afternoon pullback low, the only thing we have are like 6 daily lows and 1 weekly low over the next $10 to $11 to the downside. That's a vacuum. There's nothing there. There's no single prints. There's no trend days. There's no gaps. There's no nothing. So if this market ever decide to sell because they didn't like what they hear tomorrow and or on Friday with non-farm payroll, and to be honest, I think the volatility would come more Thursday, Friday than it would tomorrow because the market usually digests what he has to say unless he comes out and says something right off the bat tomorrow in the press conference. But just keep that in mind. These are mindless algorithms grinding this market higher and retail traders that's day trading it. That's all that's taking this market up. This is not long-term buyers buying this up here. If anything, they're selling it up here in a very, very nonchalant way where you don't know they're there. But I can tell you if something comes out that they don't like, you will know they're in the market. And again, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but we have to be prepared for both sides of the market. And then on the chart, and I want to show you something on the transports also. So monthly is up, and we had an outside month up last month. Weekly, very healthy, one time framing up 4 weeks, and the daily, one time framing up for 4 days. Not only 4 days, we're one time framing up like 11. So after we pulled back in mid-October, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 out of 14 days were one time framing up. So this is what I'm talking about, a vacuum. 12 of 14 days were one time framing up, and one of the days that we didn't was an outside day up, which is powerful. So we only have one day that we really just like took out a previous day's low and held it. We're getting stretched. There's nothing to lean on except those daily lows, and that's not even including the 4 gaps below us. So if the market doesn't hear something that it likes, you can wipe. Remember, we went over this last week, I think. Grind up, wipe it out. Grind up, wipe out. Up, wipe it out. Up, wipe it out. Up. You know it's going to get wiped out. It's just a matter of when. Is it tomorrow, next week, 2 weeks from now? And here's something to keep an eye on. I don't know when it's going to happen, but at some point, trading is going to mean something, right? Trading doesn't mean anything right now. You can just buy anything. It doesn't matter what you buy. It will go up. Okay? Look what happened in the transports today because of one stock. Now, I know they only have 20 stocks in the indices, so it's not a good gauge, but I can't help it. That's what they had, just like the Dow is 30. Now, I don't know if this is excess or not because it's only November 2nd, but look at the monthly so far. We're not going to know to the end of the month. But how about the weekly? Now, again, we have 3 days left in this week, but I can tell you one thing. It's going to be interesting if this is weekly excess on the weekly. Now, there's no excess on the daily. I thought there was. Look at this. But if you go to the 30-minute bar, when we hit that high, look at the next bar. So there is no excess on the daily. But my question is, this is getting a little obscene, for lack of a better word. You'll always hear me give both sides of the market. You'll never hear me yell, sell will come, or when we've seen the bottom. Right? I try to be rational. I've been doing this for 38 years. I try to give both sides of the market. I've lived through the paper market. I've lived through the behind the screen and electronic market. I think I know it pretty well. So I'll never sit here and say this is the top or this is the bottom or anything like that. But what you see with something like today, is this the new normal? Possible, but I don't think so. I really don't think so. And at some point, you're going to have to be a trader again and not just buy anything that dips or people recommend as a meme stock. And I'm really curious to see down the road, and I'm going to keep an eye on this, if this excess, if it turns out to be excess this week in the transports, is something that could be the start of the market maybe topping out. We'll see. Hope you had a good day trading. Rest up. Should be a fun rest of the week. Have a great night, and we'll speak prior to the opening tomorrow.